Okay, and we are now
Okay.
recording. Thanks for the reminder. I thought maybe Pavel had already turned it on. All right. Germany, West Virginia,
How do I see the
Gary in
chat?
Chapel Hill, in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Okay, okay, here's the thing, guys. I'm in my car and I'm literally holding my laptop in my hands. That's why everything's so jiggly. And I don't have a place to set it. So it's kind of weird, but I'm just going to try to hold my hands here and see if I can keep it still. Well, guess what? So last week I put in an 80-hour week. I filmed, we had a professional cinematographer and we filmed the advanced CRV class.
Hey, very good.
It's going to take a while because we have to, I mean, it's all filmed now, thank God. Now we just have to get the editing done, and and I have to create a few more PDFs for the class materials.
Yeah.
But it is done. It is in the can, officially in the can.
I'm
So
still working on my videos for the advanced class. I've got probably about 40 more videos to go, but I'm working on it,
you're doing good. I have done all the other classes totally by myself, and I just was like done with doing that by myself. It's too much work to do alone. It's so hard. So I was really grateful when suddenly the universe dropped this amazing person down to help me.
Good.
So that is really awesome. Yeah, so we're really excited about that. That was a huge thing that just been hanging over my head forever. And we've also filmed and are editing right now the project management course.
Good.
And I just wanted that for, I know it's a very small group of people that will want that, but my goal is to get all of my classes on a video format so that
one thing I've always done is for sort of an intro to project management and also for analysis is I have my students work in groups of 3, and that one views, the other monitors, and the other one sits off to the side and watches the process go on. And you wouldn't believe how it prepares them to be an analyst for and understand what's going on in the CRV process.
Yes, I think that's awesome. Yes, that's amazing. That's so great. And I remember you always did that in all of the classes that I attended.
Yeah.
We always had 3 people, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, Port Townsend, Washington. I love Port Townsend, Julie. We taught there. We taught at the Annapurna Center for Self-Healing or something like that. I think that was what it was called, the Annapurna. And
so at the top, Grüß Gott aus Deutschland, and scroll down.
So can everybody see us? Is everybody able to see us?
Australia.
Oh, look, Dion Deschaine is here. Hi, Dion. I didn't know you were here. This is awesome. That's great. Okay, good. Everybody can see us. Somebody who asked, is this audio only? You might need to back out and come back in, because if you're only hearing audio and not seeing video, there's probably a problem on your end if everybody else is seeing us. Okay, Belize. Wow, we really have the world here. That's amazing. The whole world is here. That's great. So folks, what I'm going to ask you to do is to use the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. You'll see a Q&A. If everybody would please use that to ask us questions, because we can track the questions in the Q&A. We lose track of them in the chat. So do not put any questions in the chat. Put all your questions in the Q&A, and that way we can get to them. So there's already, I knew this would be the first question. Katie, I must be psychic. I thought the very first question is going to be about the lost sub that went down to look at the Titanic, and I was right. So I don't know if there are. I know that I just heard about it. I'm really out of touch with the news because I've been filming so intensely. So I was not even aware until like 30 minutes ago about the sub.
Yeah.
I just heard about it. I just found out about it. So yeah, no, don't worry, Julie. No one can hear anybody. The only people that can be heard are Lynn and myself on a webinar. So you don't have to mute yourself. That's why you can't mute it yourself, because you're already muted. And so anybody, please, yes, put all your questions in the chat. And that way, once we answer them, we can click that it's answered, and it goes away, and that way we're sure to get them in the order they're asked. So that's really helpful. Okay,
Hugh
so
asked about how many ideograms. I have about a little over 270 dependable ideograms. And then, of course, at other times, other ideograms are coming in, and I have to find out what they are, you know?
yeah, I don't have close to that many. I don't find that I need that many. I mean, I find that for what I do, the number I have is okay. And I think I have about 20 dependable that I use all the time, not counting the ones, as Lynn mentioned, the ones that we develop for a certain reason, for a certain period of
Yeah,
time, and then discard when we no longer use them.
yeah.
Uh, Good to see you, Hugh. And let's see. So I just wanted to get back to Katie really quickly about the lost sub. As soon as I heard about it, I thought, ooh, that would make a good target. But here's the thing. Unless we get asked to do something like that, if someone that is involved in the investigation and the search comes to us and says, hey, could you get some remote viewers on this? We probably won't work it because it's a waste of time. It would totally be a waste of time to try to work that. And then who do we give it to? And how do we
Oh,
present it?
yeah. Yeah, if nobody tasks you with it, I mean, what do you do with it? You get the information, and then what do? You sit there and wait for a newspaper report a week later. Yeah.
Yeah, and Trisha asked, oh, thanks. Okay, Pavel's asking her. Trisha, we're still doing some in-person classes in my school in Mountain Air, New Mexico, if you're willing to come to Mountain Air, New Mexico, which is actually a beautiful place, but not the easiest place to get to.
And the Remote View Ranch, they're starting to work on the road tomorrow, and we're going to get the road paved. We've got a contractor who's going to build the training center in there. We have, thanks to all the people who are supporting this, we have electricity and water to the ranch. We have we're fixing up the RV hookups, not remote viewing hookups, but recreational vehicle hookups for water and electricity and all that. So we will start having some in-person classes out there too.
That is exciting. That's so exciting. And thank you so much, Lynn. This is a wonderful thing that you're doing.
And it's easier to get to than your place. And so this is for you too.
Thank you. I appreciate
too, if
that.
you want to. Yeah.
Yeah. The only way to get to our place is by car or a helicopter, believe it or not. You could get there by helicopter. It's one thing we're licensed to have is a landing pad and a runway on our 120 acres. So
I can't because I'm in a no-fly zone.
Oh, right, because you're so near the base. Anyway, so as far as Chris's question, Lynn, do you think an electronic method can be discovered that will enhance remote viewing?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've already found that using computer graphics, once you learn how to do it, using computer graphics for like stage 3 and stage 6 is fantastic. And you can do 3-dimensional models. You don't have to use clay. You can use 3-dimensional models in the computer. And we've had students already who are they get to stage 3 or stage 6. They bring up a graphics program, and I mean, they're right in there. That screen is just like a window that they go to the side in, and they see it and feel it and all that. But also simply the database. If you keep data on a viewer's work, it will tell the viewer what they're good at, what they need more training at, what they need more practice at, and what kind of work to accept when they're doing work for other people. You know, you look in the database and somebody says, I want you to do this for me. You look in the database and you say, I'm not good at that. Pass it off to somebody who is good. They will pass off something to you that you're good at. It gets the community together, and the database tells you what you're good at so that you'll have success. So yeah, the computer is absolutely a great tool for remote viewing.
And if you're asking about future inventions to enhance the psychic process, if that was your intent with the question, it's interesting because that was actually a target I was given once long ago. And the interesting thing that came through is I did describe an electronic device that could enhance it. But the funny thing was, is that after getting the whole description, the thing that came through was, but this is completely unnecessary because the best device you have is right here,
That's
right in your login. So
Yeah. And the
I do.
Russians have been developing psychoelectronic devices for decades, but most of theirs is for what they call hypnosis at a distance, what we call remote influencing. And they've had moderate success with that, but the thing is, that's you depending on the electronics. If you make the electronics a tool for what you're doing, then it's very successful. It helps you. Yeah.
Also, for Shirley, be sure and put your questions in the Q&A section because we aren't answering anything that's coming in through the chat. We are only answering things that are coming through the Q&A because we can answer them and delete them, whereas we have no control over the chat and it constantly rolls. So remember, guys, just put your questions in the Q&A so we can get to them. Someone asked, Kat asked if you have a dream and it suddenly happens and he's beginning to have that. I have had so many students tell me that since they began using CRV, their dreams have become much more vivid and more precognitive. And so it is a phenomenon that does occur for sure.
Yeah, and other psychic, quote, psychic things are going to start happening too. You know, you reach for the phone before it rings. You know who's calling before you answer. You know the answer to a question before somebody asks it. And all these different things that will start happening to you once you develop your subconscious mind to do this stuff. It's great.
It definitely enhances everything.
Oh,
I
yeah.
do you remember way back in the beginning, I called you and I was like, been doing the ambiance exercise really faithfully. Suddenly colors seem brighter.
Yeah.
Is that normal? Do you remember me calling? I don't know. You probably won't
Yeah.
have a million phone calls, but it was like colors suddenly seem brighter. And you said, yeah, that happens.
It's true. Yeah.
And Richard asked a really great question. Richard Kranowski, you remember Richard, Lynn? Richard
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and he asked, he's asking, like, if we did find the sub, like, how do you communicate how would you communicate to investigators where it is if it's very, very deep in the ocean? Well, one thing I could answer, Richard, is we could give the coordinates, you know, the longitude and latitude coordinates, because we can actually use CRV in combination with Google Earth, another electronic tool that we use, and we can actually give the longitude and latitude, and then it would just be a matter of using P6 tools to get the depth.
Yeah. And the thing is, that's usually stage 6 work. It's advanced course work. But you know, basically, if you just describe the location, deep underwater, stilt, dark, cold. Well, that describes the entire ocean. You know,
Exactly.
all you've told them is it's not on land. So, yeah, but once you get into stage 6, you can have the vectoring and sectoring, and you can find things on maps, and you can start giving actual coordinates. Yeah.
Okay, great. And then now Heather Wallace Brown, Heather, I think I know you, don't I? I think I do. Anyway, Heather asked, do you view the upcoming year? If so, for has anything for 2023 thus far come true? I think the only year that I really remote viewed ahead of time was 2012. And other than that, I don't make it a practice to view the coming year. What about you, Lynn? Do you always view the upcoming year?
Well, I don't usually view the upcoming year. I haven't so far this year, but I did that session in '98 for up through the year 2040, and there are things that are coming true this year that I predicted in that session. Yeah,
Yeah. So to answer your question, we don't view as a practice, like just generically, like I'm
right.
going to view 2023 because or 2024 because it's too generic. I mean, 2024 is 12 months long. It has 30 to 31 days in every month. So you have to have a target to look at. You can't just look at the broad thing of the year. So you'd have to have a question associated with next year.
Yeah,
And I've done that a few times and I really didn't enjoy it. I just didn't find it something that I needed to necessarily
I don't either.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, your subconscious is very egocentric. And when you say you do a timeline in stage 6 and you start beginning of the year, the end of the year, and all that, it's going to give a lot more importance to what happens to you than what happens to the world because it is egocentric. And and so that's still good information to know, what's going to happen to you. But as far as tell me what's going to happen in the world in the next year, uh, it's it's much like the weatherman does. He makes a prediction, then the next day he corrects it because things have changed. The next day he corrects it. And so when you do a future timeline like that, generally what you have to do is you have to do updates almost constantly because things do change. The future does change. It's not written in stone. You're muted.
Oh, sorry about that. Several people have asked about ideograms, and they're asking about, for example, how to form them. And one question was like, where do I get more ideograms? And the answer to that depends on your need. For example, a policeman might need an ideogram for weapon or for danger. Lynn once suggested to me that I make an ideogram for every one of my 7 children that I had at the time. Um, so everybody creates ideograms based on their own lives and their own needs. My very first ones that I made outside of the 7 that we teach you in basic was, I think I created one for animal and human because I created 2 different ideograms, one for animal, one for human, because I kept mixing them up at the time. I would have a target that had a gorilla and nursing her baby gorilla, and I would be like, oh, this sweet mother, is taking care of her child, but I thought they were human, so it helped me to have animal and human, and then I created one for male and female. So those were the first 4 that I felt I needed, that I created right off the bat after I had got, after I had those 7 really down. So it just depends on you. And then
Yeah, and mine,
Carly,
of course, were military. So we developed military necessity ideograms. Uh, also, when I got out of service, I keep using those military ideograms for police work. But I also do space research. I have space research customers, R&D customers, medical customers, and all that. And so for each one of these, medical, you develop an ideogram for cancer. You develop an ideogram for just general illness and things like this. So, like Lori says, it's according to your needs, and your subconscious will start developing these too.
so Shirley, I hope that answered your question. And thank you for putting it in the Q&A. Farrell, Lyn's students generally use Lyn's database. My students generally use my database. We now have over 1,000 students using the database, which is pretty exciting. But it's totally up to you. Our dream was to have them merged or to have them all in one. And, you know, that's something we have hoped for and talked about. And so maybe at some point that will happen. And then it won't matter whether you're in Lynn's or in mine.
I hope so. All right.
Yeah, then they'll be combined, you know, and one of the, well, Lyn, you're better at expressing this, but the vision for having it combined is a good one. And you could explain why that's a good thing, because it's going to help us all learn more about psychic
Well, for many
function.
reasons. One is for researchers, researching and developing the controlled remote viewing science. Another is for the project managers. If you have a project that comes in that has special needs and you're a project manager, you can look in the database and you're not limited to one teacher's students. You can pick the best people who have the highest accuracy in what you need to do for that project. And so, you know, somebody could bring up the database, find my students, Colleen's students, Coral Corti's students over in Italy, all students in Ireland, and so on. You know, Colleen's up in Canada, and you could pick the best remote viewers for what you need for that project. And it's success like that that's going to really make this field become more dependable to the world. I mean, right now, you know, if it's, they say, oh, it's psychic, you know, but as we prove ourselves by using good viewers.
Yes. And do you have any advice for Carly, who says every ideogram starts with a C or a backward C because like she's going to be writing her signature?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that in the Q&A?
Yeah, I do. Should I just discard it? No. Go with it. If your subconscious mind starts depending on that, then do, but don't count it as being anything about the target. Okay. The ideogram in stage 1 is not about the target. Okay. It's your subconscious mind saying, hey, we've got a session here. Pay attention to these aspects. The man-made part of it, the biological part of it, and the motion. Okay. And that's all stage 1 is. And so, you know, you can get away with just using the 7 or 8 basic ideograms that Ingo came up with. You don't need 270 ideograms. Now, I do a lot of really complex targets, so I use these, but I rarely ever use them in stage 1. I use them in stage 3, 4, 5, not 5, but in stage 6. And right in the middle of stage 6, I may have an ideogram come in that tells me some tiny nuance about a perception I just got. Say, you know, big. I'll get an ideogram that tells me basically big and dangerous, big and friendly, big and, you know, whatever. And so you will use these more complex ideograms all through your session. But the ideogram, you started with a C, hey, go with it. And when it gets to the point where your subconscious doesn't need it anymore, it'll go away by itself.
That's beautiful. That's a great answer. Here's a good question. It says, could one remote view someone who is performing a controlled remote viewing session while they are in a session itself? Lynn, were you ever assigned to remote view an adversary RV practitioners while they were remote viewing?
You mean, would we ever spy on the Russian or Chinese remote viewers while they were working? Oh, we wouldn't do that. Of course. And in fact, we did a lot of research. And this became very useful training to us. And that is to remote view a person while they're doing a session and mess up their session so that we could find the enemy remote viewers and mess up their sessions. Yeah. Oh yeah, we did that. Absolutely.
Wow. Let's see. Oh,
Spy versus spy. Yeah.
Maritza asked, how do I know I'm remote viewing and not get confused with mental chatter?
Oh, the whole time you're remote viewing, you're going to be confused with mental chatter. That's why
Yep.
we have AOL and put AOL over to the side and stray cats over to the side and notes over to the side and comments over to the side. What you've got to remember, like you have a picture suddenly come in of an elephant, okay? And you think, that's stupid, there's no elephant here. That's right, but there may be something big or there may be something wild and your subconscious is bringing that in. The fact is, with all of these things that come popping into your session, there's a reason why that particular thing came in at that particular time. There is information in all of these. But what we tend to do is we get a picture of an elephant. We say, elephant. No, that's naming. Okay. What is the first thing you noticed about whatever popped in? Oh, big elephant. Big. Okay. Big. That's your mind telling you something about the target. It's big and lumbering and whatever, you know. And so you don't fight these AOLs. You don't fight these things that pop in. You record them because somewhere at the base of each one of them, there is meaning.
Uh-oh, did I lose it?
I don't know. Can you
there
hear me?
Yeah, now I can. Yeah, I think it just
Okay.
froze for a second. Okay, good. Wow. This is a wonderful question. Robin asked, how do you approach viewing something that you personally have an emotional stake in? Something which your own desires could skew the results in a direction that you're concerned with. Robin, so many people ask this question. It's an excellent question because we teach actually various ways that you can remote view for yourself by blinding. Oops, sorry. I forgot to put my phone on. Do not disturb. Anyway, so I apologize. So that is a big question that a lot of people ask because they want to remote view for themselves.
Yeah.
And so one of the things, there's several ways you can do it. One is you can blind yourself to the target, putting things in envelopes so that you can, don't know which target you're viewing, or putting the various answers in envelopes. Oops, sorry, maybe you could step out. Thank you, sorry. Jim's going to help me with this. Anyway, and that's one way. The best way, I think, is to have a really good remote viewing friend or partner remote view the answer for you. That's a really good way to do it too. So Lynn, did you want to add anything to that?
No, that's good.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can hide it from yourself by putting it into an envelope, mixing it with all the other targets so you don't know when it's going to come up. That way you're still working it blind. But yeah, the thing is, if you view yourself or anything of your own, be ready to accept what you get. You may not always like it, but it'll generally be the truth. Okay. So be ready to accept it, whatever you get.
Yes, and also if you go to the YouTube channel, the Intuitive Specialist YouTube channel, I actually have a couple of blogs on how to remote view for yourself if you wanted, any more details or anything. And right now we're adding a ton more how-to videos onto the YouTube channel, but it's not a Lori Williams YouTube channel. It's an Intuitive Specialist with an S at the end. That's what the YouTube channel is. So take a look if you want more, if there's more how-to stuff that might interest you there. And we've also got all the Lyn and Lori webinars are there too at the Intuitive Specialist. So
and that instructional stuff is very good. It's very good.
Oh, thank you. And Lyn and Lori, are either of you available for hire on a missing persons case? I know that I'm not right now, and I'm not doing one-on-one things, and I participate in some of the bigger ones, but not individual stuff right now. But we do have people, and we're really working hard. And Lyn and Gail and I are going to be doing a Q&A panel on project management on the 29th, and it's only for people who've taken intermediate and above, both Lyn students and my students. But the reason we're having this is because one of the biggest obstacles to getting people to work on missing person cases and solving 0-point energy and all kinds of world problems is project management. If you knew all that went into project management, you would understand why it's kind of become the rock in the road for the progress of controlled remote viewing. And so, and I'm actually going to be speaking on this at the IRVA conference that's coming up August 10th, 11th, I think of August 10th through 13th in Virginia.
11th through the 13th, yeah.
Right. So Lyn and I are both going to be there, guys. If you want to meet us in person, sign up for the IRVA conference, and you can use I think my code is Lori10, Lori 10 to get 10% off. And I bet Lyn, yours is LYN 10 to get 10% off.
It may be, I don't know.
Well, anybody that wants to attend, you can just type in Lori 10 as a coupon code, and you'll get 10% off.
I was also talking to Deborah Katz yesterday, and if someone is overseas and needs something that says, this is the destination, this is why I'm going to the States, to get a passport or permission to travel out of country, just let Deborah Katz know about it. Bring up irva.org and let them know that you need that, and they'll be glad to provide it for you.
What will they be happy to provide? I missed that.
If someone needs to prove why they're traveling out of their country, to come to the States, like from Russia, different places, South Africa and all that, then just write to IRVA. They will provide you with that document that says, yes, they are invited to this conference. They will be here on these certain dates, and that is why we need them to come, to the U.S. for this conference.
Yes. Okay. Wonderful. That's really good. And yes. And guys, it's irva.org I know you can go there and you'll get a link to the conference, and you can do everything from there. Lyn, how can you ensure that there's not any lower vibrations not affecting my remote viewing?
I would tend to say there probably always will be. You learn. The reason it's called controlled remote viewing is because we teach you to be in control of the viewing. This is in many ways why it's different from regular psychic work, because in psychic work, you're pulled in all directions and all this, and usually everything comes in according to the subconscious, which is not organized. But in the controlled remote viewing training, we not only teach you to organize your work and the process involved, but we teach you control it. And these lower vibrations and all that. This is what Ingo basically called static in the signal line. And we teach you how to rise above the static and suppress that static and protect yourself from it. So I know when you get into medical applications, a large part of the medical apps training is not how to help somebody else heal themselves. It's how to protect yourself from getting sick and doing it. So it's self-protection. And so that's why it's called controlled remote viewing, not because you're controlled as a remote viewer, but because as a remote viewer, you are in control of the viewing. And yeah, but as far as the lower level stuff coming in, hey, it's going to happen. I mean, deal with it. And we teach you how to deal with it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. And Lynn, is there any evidence that many people remote viewing the same future target makes it more likely to happen or less likely to be changed?
I don't know. There's some belief that it does. I know that, like on practice targets, the more people who view a certain practice target, the easier it is to view. Now, when it comes to future, well, and the other thing is that we've also noted that you cannot remote view a target without affecting it in some very minor way. So the question is, if you get 100 people viewing the same future, will that make it happen? And the answer is, we really don't know. Was it going to happen anyway? That doesn't prove that you made it happen. So, so the answer is a very definite maybe.
I love that. Hey, I just want to just pop in here to say, there's a lot of people asking some of the questions like, what is an ideogram and things. Folks, I have a free class that will explain all this really thoroughly. It's an introduction to remote viewing. It's 4 parts. It's not a sales pitch. It's a true class. And it's at intuitivespecialist.com. I put the link in the chat, intuitivespecialist.com/masterclass-series/book. So if you put that in there, and also we're going to be launching very soon the audio book. So if you're on either my mailing list or maybe even Lynn's mailing list, we're going to be sending out something to everybody on my mailing list, offering you a free PDF of the book Boundless, which also teaches you all this stuff about phase 1 and the beginnings, and all the foundation to CRV. And that is coming out as an audio book in the next few weeks. And we're already setting up. We're going to be sending out a thing asking people if they would like to be on the launch team. And we're going to be doing a lot of fun things like launch parties and fun stuff like that. So if anybody wants to be on the launch team to launch the audiobook, just keep an eye on your emails, because we are going to be putting out some emails to explain how that goes. Thank you, guys. I just wanted to share that with you because I can see a lot of people asking questions, and both of those are 2 sources where you can get a lot of good information about ideograms and the basics. Lynn, in the 7th sense, you talk about ideograms, and if I remember, it's been a long time since I've read it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you talk about ideograms and you kind of explain what ideograms are too. So for those of you wanting to know, yes. So Jasmine, she said she just missed what I said. Jasmine, just if you're on my mailing list, if you just go to my website, you can sign up for anything and you'll be on the mailing list at intuitivespecialist.com. But that's how you get the free class if you want to do that.
anonymous viewer or anonymous attendee, are you available for hire in a
Oh,
missing person case? Let's go ahead and talk about that. And I'll tell you, if anybody says yes, don't use them. Go ahead. You want to talk about it, Lori?
no, I want you to talk about, I answered it a few minutes ago, but I forgot
Oh,
to
did
delete
you?
it.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah, we work through the police, okay? If you work against the police, they tend to say, oh, we're backing off from this because they're hiring, people that are not us, that are not official and all that. And also, when we work for the family, uh, it puts the family on an emotional roller coaster, and they we give information to the family, and they immediately go challenge the police, and the police are trying to conduct a regular investigation and can't because, you know, also they will then go out and trample a supposed crime scene. And in the process, they will destroy evidence that could be used to solve the case. And, but mainly it puts the family on the emotional roller coaster. And that just makes it worse for the family. It really does. Um, Also, uh, we have a lot of people who uh, have no connection to the case whatever. They see it in the newspaper and they say, oh, we need to hire a remote viewer to see what's wrong. And you do all the work, your team does all the work, puts in hours on it, and you give it to them, and they sit there and they wait for the news report, such as, where's the submarine, right? Uh, what are you going to do with the information? If I give you the coordinates for the submarine, can you go out and help the people who are in the submarine? If not, then, you know, find somebody who can and will work for them. And that's the way it is with missing person cases. And people say, oh, well, the police aren't doing anything. That's not true. Okay. Just
Yeah.
because the police don't tell you what they're doing doesn't mean they're not doing something. So anybody who says, yes, we will work for the family, you don't want them.
Yeah.
You really don't.
No, then it turns into being a waste of time.
It does.
Um,
Yeah.
and Katie's question, are you aware of any apparent change reported in the Earth's Schumann frequency on Sunday, the 18th of June? I was not aware of that. I don't track the Schumann frequency. Do you find that there are weather or other planetary conditions which can affect or enhance RV accuracy? And what things can one do, which you recommend to enhance RV accuracy? I know what you're going to say, Lynn. The P word.
Joe McMonigal, when I went into the unit, I took over Joe's job, and he had this huge chart on the wall right beside the desk where he had tracked tides, moon phases, weather, everything else. And the basic finding was that if you are not a skilled and experienced remote viewer, if you're just a beginner, yeah, all these things are going to come crashing in and they're going to affect your session. But if you learn the process, and like English one says, structure is everything. You learn the structure, you learn the protocols, and you get good at being in control of your remote viewing. Those things don't matter.
Okay, I had myself muted. Also, if one would like to take a non-remote viewing believer to a course as a second person, what's the likelihood that that person would start getting a more open mind and notice minor improvements? Oh my gosh, I have to tell you, I have to answer this one, Lynn. So
Okay.
I had so many classes that I taught in person where it was free. It was usually the woman was like super excited to learn about RV and coming to the class, and the husband was coming because he was worried about what his wife was getting into. And inevitably, the husbands became huge converts and often did better than the wives, which would really piss off the wives because they'd be like, about this, and he's doing better than me. And that happened a lot. I can't tell you how many times I've had couples come where one couple kind of came along reluctantly and ended up super convert, really,
Yeah.
really changed their lives for the better. So really
Yeah,
cool.
and the remote viewing, in a way, let me tell you about a conversation I had with my pastor this last week. He said, well, you deal with all these people. Do you get out there and minister for the Lord? And I said, well, I guess I do. And he said, well, what do you tell them? And I said, I don't tell them anything. I try to live a Christian life. And he said, well, you should tell them, things. And I said, I wrote a poem once, and that poem goes like this. If you shout, they cover their ear. If you whisper, they listen to hear. Okay. And when it comes to remote viewing and teaching, somebody who is absolutely against it, doesn't want to hear it, you don't preach at them. You don't try to convert them or anything like that. You show them. There's an old Indian saying that says something like, tell me and I'll forget. Ask me to memorize it and I'll still forget it. But involve me and I'll remember.
That's beautiful. All right. So, Sean, I just was telling you in answer to your question, project management is the thing that is the greatest need right now to see for the progress of the whole movement, in my opinion. Oh, Lynn, what are some uncommon daily practices that you believe have supported your remote viewing?
Practice, practice, practice.
That is so true. That is so true.
Yeah.
Also, I
And
find
that's uncommon, really, for me.
that's good.
I put things off, I'm going to do it tomorrow and all that. No, practice, practice, practice. You want to get good at remote viewing? Yeah, whoever your teacher is, Dave Morehouse, Lori, me, whatever. Doesn't matter.
Practice is the key.
Practice.
Also one thing we found just in observing thousands of students is that years and years ago, Pavel asked me if we could form CRV buddies. And I said, oh, that's a terrible idea because it'll be like the blind leading the blind. And so they just started doing it on their own. And the people who buddied up just started doing so much better and progressing so much faster. But the reason is because if you make a deal with a buddy, hey, I'm going to meet you tomorrow at 10 a.m. so we can practice together, then you do it, you practice because you made that you made an appointment to do it.
That's right.
Whereas if you don't have anybody to practice with, it's really easy to go, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. So that's one reason I think people who buddy up progress tons faster than people who don't.
That's true.
So that's I think is one of the greatest things to support remote viewing is having somebody to work with. That's my opinion. And practice, and because you practice more. So it's ultimately the answer is practice, but it's a way to help you practice. Okay, so Tricia says she's more interested in the science and the process than practicing or viewing. What would be your top book to read for a newbie in the science and the practice? Oh, there's so many now.
There are so many. Dean Radin probably has the best, most pure science that there is on remote viewing. Dean Radin's books, his videos, and all that. He's very plain spoken. He doesn't go into, universities speak and all that. Uh, uh, Universities speak is what I meant to say. But yeah, Dean Radin's books are extremely good. Ingo Swan's books are good, very hard to read.
I'm so glad
Ingo,
you said that.
yeah, they are. Um,
I thought
and
maybe I was just stupid.
there are also some books by Lyn Buchanan and Lori Williams that I think are very good too.
I saw, I was reading through reviews the other day, and somebody said, well, this book seems like it's written at, like a more elementary level. And I did write the book purposely so that anybody could pick it up and understand it. Because I felt
Yeah.
like so many of the books I picked up, not yours though, yours is awesome. Lynn's is a real page turner. But there were other books I would pick up and they would be like this thick, and tiny print.
Yeah.
And it's like reading the family Bible in a way, you just kind of get lost. So
Yeah.
very, very good. And to add did that. Okay, so let's see. We're really getting through these. So that answered Trisha's question. And Dion said, I seem to be getting info on hidden versus visible, and I'm sometimes struggling to get clear on it, spending time to get there. Is that something I then ought to look to ideograms to clarify, speed up my reading? I'm not sure I understand the question. Do you understand the question?
Not really. By hidden and not visible, do you mean esoteric or conceptual rather than physical? He can't answer, but
Yeah, Dion, you might need to clarify a little better the question so we can answer
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Okay, and then Farrell asked, I practice sessions on 8x10 paper. My ideograms are small, seems hard to get feeling senses. I want to get larger paper to sense better, but I don't want to carry large paper. Should I keep at the 8x10 and keep practicing to get better at senses?
8.5 by 11 is
Standard. I think that's probably what it means.
yeah. That's yeah. I have had a lifelong hatred for legal size paper. I first kill all the lawyers. I'm sorry.
I think Jim would be with you on that one.
Yeah. And I remember one time my monitor said, you should use legal paper so that you can write more when you get at the bottom. No, you can't. Once you get to the bottom of the paper, you still have to go to the next page. No, I use regular paper. A lot of people say, can I use lined paper? And many teachers will say, no, you can't. Sure, you can. You can use a napkin if you want. You can write on the tabletop. Yeah, so the need for a larger sheet of paper, hey, either way, whether you use a larger sheet of paper or another sheet of paper that's a regular size, you're still killing trees. So remote viewers are notorious tree killers.
That is true, sadly. I did want to get on to the next question while we still have a few more minutes. Anonymous attendee, I just wanted to answer your question. It's kind of long, so I'll just answer it. Remote viewing, the term remote viewing is a generic term like martial arts. So if you said to me, Lori, I have a 10th degree black belt in martial arts, what would my response be to you? It would be, well, what kind of martial arts?
That's right.
Because martial arts is a very generic term. I would want to know, do you have a black belt in Taekwondo, karate, jiu-jitsu? And so it's the same thing. If you've been able to get accurate information, you have a track record for accuracy, then what you're doing is psychic work. You can call it remote viewing because remote viewing is just that generic term like martial arts.
Right.
And so if you say they're not considering it mediumship, it's not mediumship to be able to extract information from a
No.
distance. That's definitely not mediumship. Mediumship is connecting with spirits who have passed on. So each thing, it's kind of like if you went to a karate class after becoming a black belt in Taekwondo, the differences between Taekwondo and karate would be apparent. So there are differences between CRV, ERV, TRV, and there's differences between mediumship and psychic work. So it's really just a matter of semantics. They're not all the same thing, just like Taekwondo and Jiu-Jitsu are not the same thing. So I hope that answers your question. Don't be offended
And
if people say, hey, well, that's not CRV, because it's not CRV. It's
it's
something,
not, no,
it's just something else. It's not
very
that we're
different.
limiting
And
what you do. It's just not.
when this became public, that the military had developed and used this for intelligence gathering, and it had a scientific background, all of a sudden, psychics everywhere became remote viewers, and we had tea leaf remote viewers and pendulum remote viewers and crystal ball remote viewers, and none of those are anywhere even near controlled remote viewing. Controlled remote viewing was developed in the laboratory using databases. Whatever worked was used, whatever didn't work was thrown out. And it was developed over 30 years of time and is still being developed using databases. And so, CRV is not, CRV is remote viewing because, like Lori says, it's lumped into the general term. But that doesn't mean that the other remote viewings are CRV.
Yeah, and I just want to quickly, we've reached the end of our time, but I just want to say, Jaya Gul, a lot of people have trouble viewing people. So I wrote a full blog on that. If you go to intuitivespecialist.com, it's all about the problems that people have with viewing other humans. I would guess that a high percentage of viewers have a problem with viewing people, at least a lot of the ones I've met. It happens to be my strength and Lynn's strength, viewing people, but we're more in the rare group, I think. Would you agree with that, Lynn? I know a lot of viewers who have a hard time viewing people.
Well, yeah, and I've had the military training of you don't get involved with the person you're viewing. You're interviewing or viewing, and just like one of the things we learned, don't get involved with the people you're interrogating. Okay, find out what they say, what they do, what they don't say and don't do, why they say it and how they do it and do it, how they go about not saying and doing it, and observe. And once you do that, and because of that training, I have no problem with people. I will view them, put the questions in, get the answers, record them, and that's it.
Yes, and Mark, we teach a technique for working with cancerous masses in our medical applications class. So that's something, right now we've reached the end of our hour, so I was just trying to knock off a few quickly, but yeah, we do. And then, someone asked, has there ever been another viewer on the level of Ingo? And if not, why? Yeah, there've been a lot. Ingo was a very great psychic. And after he taught, after he got into CRV, he developed CRV. I feel like a lot of people have taken that and really kind of built on the shoulders of Ingo.
Oh yeah.
And the goal is Ingo and all and be all. Many people have gone beyond that, I believe. My observations anyway. I did not know Ingo personally, and I know you did, Lynn, but yeah, we've seen a lot.
Yeah.
So anyhow, Do you have anything more you want to add? Thank you guys so much. Everybody's saying thank you, thank you. And there's lots of links in the chat. So before you go, if you want to copy the chat, so you can grab all those great links in there. Did we put a link to Lyn? Yeah, he put a link to Lyn's website, Lyn's book.
Yep.
Right there.
Also, please put a link into the Remote View Ranch. We're trying to get this
Remote View
developed
Ranch.
and working.
That's remoteviewranch.com, right, Lyn?
Remoteviewranch.com. Yeah.
That's awesome. Remoteviewranch.com, everybody. Just remember those three things: remoteviewranch.com, crviewer.com, intuitivespecialist.com. Those are all, we have tons of free resources for you. Lyn's
Yes,
website, my website,
on
there's
both of our
tons of,
sites.
yeah, you can get all kinds of free things. Also, check out YouTube. We got lots of free stuff going up on YouTube. We're putting 3 new videos a week up on YouTube right now. So go up on YouTube and there's a lot of things. Okay, guys. Thank you guys so much. I wish we could have gotten to everybody, but we didn't. We got to quite a few though. We only have a few. Yeah, I guess. So. Anyway, okay. Brenda, you go to the blogs at intuitivespecialist.com. You'll see blogs and just go through the pages and you'll find the one. Oh, I'm sorry. That's wrong. Wait, is it? Oh yeah. Go to YouTube and look up Intuitive Specialist. That's where you'll find the video about viewing for yourself. I think there might be a
Julie, it's R-A-D-E-N, Raden, Dean Raden, R-A-D-E-N.
I'll type that in there. Dean Raden.
I-N-G-O, Ingo Swan.
Ingo Swan. All right, there we go. And so, guys, yes. And yes, the Q&A, we will be putting this Q&A from this video, all of these, we do this once a month. Several people who are here for the first time. We do this once a month, Lyn and I. We always do it on a Tuesday. I gladly pay you on Tuesday for a hamburger today. And so we do this on Tuesdays, and then the videos, Jim's laughing, and the videos are then uploaded into, what did you say, Jim?
You just dated yourself.
I just dated myself. Yes, I'm turning 66 next Tuesday. Anyway, so yes. So we put these up on
84.
84 in July. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So our birthdays are just a month apart, a month and several years apart. But go up to YouTube, guys. Pavel, did you put the YouTube link to Intuitive Specialist? If you go to YouTube and you type in the chat.
I did. I will do it again.
Okay, in the search bar, you can put Intuitive Specialist with an S at the end of specialist, and you will find a ton of videos there. We just want to get more people knowing about this, guys. We just want people to explore it and find themselves. So Brenda, I hope you find everything. Okay, good job then, guys. Thank you all very much. I'm going to try to, before I sign off, I'm going to try to copy the questions so we can make sure and try to get back to people and answer these questions if we can. Hey, if you didn't get an answer to your question, you can always write to info@intuitivespecialist.com. We do have a team, and so Pavel or we have a few people that can respond to your question. So if you have a question, just write to info@intuitivespecialist.com. Because I know, Lyn, you're so busy and you're a one-man band there, so I don't
get about 100 email a day after doing triage.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so you can write there, guys, and we'll do our best to answer your questions. Okay, guys, thank you so much. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Good attendance today.